Good morning, everybody. I am Marianne, and I am the statewide Security Risk Management and Privacy Program Manager for the California Information Security Office. So I want to kind of try and make some sense out of a very confusing, sometimes confusing topic, and that's how everything fits together when it comes to information security and state of California policy, procedure, standards, everything. So we're going to cover the policies and standards, SAM, governance, risk, and compliance, and where that came from, FISMA, FIPS, NIST, SIM. We're going to do a little review, and then talk about where we go from here, talk about a few resources you can go check out. I have them linked here, so you'll have to go later on when these slides are posted to the Cybersecurity Symposium website to get to them. And then we'll talk about further information and questions. Ready? Here we go. So the recent update started with this document. It was called The Heart of the Matter and developed by NASCIO, the National Association of State Chief Information Officers. And it was a core taxonomy for the information security programs. So we took this and did this. This is our map. And this is what we're going to cover today. This is kind of akin to who's on first from that skit way back when. And it can get confusing, so try to stay with me here. So SAM 5100, it's not listed on here, but it's the information technology policy, and it announces adoption of the Federal Information Processing Standards, which is FIPS. And FIPS is the official series of publications relating to standards and guidelines adopted and promulgated under the provisions of the Federal Information Security Management Act, which is FISMA. Then SAM 5300, which is the information security section of SAM, incorporates the National Association of State Chief Information Officers Core Security Services Taxonomy, the document we were just talking about, and to FIPS, and to NIST, which is the National Institute of Standards and Technology, and then finally to the State Information Management Manuals, SIMs. These are all now linked in the new policy document that came out last month. So I'm not going to show it to you right here now, but that's available on our website. So if you ever get lost, it's all linked now, which is going to make it so much easier for everybody. So TL 1304, that's our new SAM policy. That's the update to the information security policy. It was developed, I think I will open it. Oh, maybe not. Okay. You can find it on your own. You know where it is, and if you don't, just give me a call. So it was updated in 2013, and new is the format with the navigational indicators that I was just talking about. It's got support. It supports the national standards body, which is NIST. It enhances the privacy directives. Privacy was it was lacking in a lot of what we needed to do for the state. The old SAM was, so we enhanced that section. It focuses on security in the life cycle now. So upcoming new projects are going to have a new security focus. continuous monitoring, planning for the inevitable, and the assessments and process improvement. So this is where the governance, risk, and compliance and operational security came from, back to that NASCIO document. This was cut directly from that document, and we're following it now. The only difference is we've added a privacy component in the governance, risk, and compliance services section of that. So now we're going to talk a little bit about FISMA. And even though FISMA was not one of the boxes on our roadmap, it's important because FIPS and NIST come from FISMA. So the purpose of it is to bring standardization to security controls, the selection and assessment through providing that consistent framework, effective management of risks, the development of those adequate controls, and to provide that mechanism for effective oversight of security programs. FISMA requirements require state entities to assess their current levels of risk, define those controls, implement policies, and test and evaluate controls, train that personnel, and manage incidents. Now, assessing the current level of risk is associated with information and information systems, but everybody here knows that already. So FISMA includes responsibilities for information security officers, and probably many of you, actions required to assess risk, to mitigate risk, security awareness training. We'll talk more about that later. We'll talk more about all of this later. Testing, procedures for responding, and business continuity. Now, NIST includes standards for categorizing information and information systems by mission impact, the standards for minimum security requirements, the guidance for selecting appropriate security controls and assessing those security controls, guidance for the determining control effectiveness, and for certifying information systems. Okay, now we're going to get into the meat of things. So here's this list kind of is associated with the roadmap we looked at earlier. So if you ever need to, you can associate these two documents. FIPS publication 199 is about security categorization. That link at the top, by the way, if you try it right now, it's not going to work because the federal government shut down NIST. So you can't get to it. Not today.
You can get it off the Internet Archive.
Okay. There's always a way. So there's then the FIPS publication 200, which is the minimum security requirements. Then we've got risk assessments, contingency planning, managing information security risk, recommended security controls, security control assessment, and mapping. The ones we're going to focus on are FIPS 199 and the associated NIST special publication 860, which is security category mapping at the bottom, and FIPS 200 and the associated NIST special publication 853 and 853A. Sorry. For those who are new to the information security world, it's not on this list, but I'd also recommend reading Special Publication 812, which is an introduction to computer security, the NIST handbook. It's old, but it's still relevant. 12, 800, NIST Special Publication 812. Okay, so FIPS 199. This has to be performed first. If you don't do this first, you can't identify and figure out which data is most important to secure. So we all know that the federal government has classified all their data, and they've got the categories and the classifications, and you can get to some data and not others, and you can see some data and not others, and you've got security clearances, so some of you can see it, some of you can't. They've done a pretty good job. Yeah, they've got a little more money, but okay. So we have to do the same thing. And I think in California, we haven't done a good job of that yet. And we're creating some programs, some training sessions to help get that better covered. We'll talk again about that later too. But the security category mapping, which is NIST 860, is also a good document to figure out how to do that. And there's also a slide we'll come to later on that's, it's a link to, have anybody heard of FedRAMP? It's, their FedRAMP is an organization that is, what's the word I'm looking for? Yes, thank you, certifying cloud services providers. And they have to go through a whole series of questions and procedures and processes to get on that certification list. Well, they have a tool that is on their website that links up to 853. 860 is also the standard used to categorize information systems and information systems based on the objectives of providing appropriate security levels of information security according to a range of risk levels. Information security systems are categorized as either low, moderate, or high risk, and it goes into all those details of how you determine how to do that and where they are. Then we get to FIPS 200. Controls can be established at that point. You've got your data and information and systems categorized and classified, and now we can place the controls there. So these provide a minimum of information security requirements for the information and for information systems in each of the security categories defined in FIPS 199. And it dictates the requirements to utilize NIST 853 in establishing those controls. So NIST Special Publication 830, we're going to go through these quickly, and then we'll focus on the ones I mentioned before. This one's a guide for conducting risk assessments. We'll get to that later too, talking a little more about risk assessments and what's maybe coming, and how you can prepare yourselves by doing some of this work yourselves ahead of time. That's for state organizations, I should clarify. So then we get to the 834 Revision 1, which is a contingency planning guide. It's where disaster recovery resides, business continuity, and recovery procedures. If you were to have some sort of a disaster, including a cyber incident. The Risk Management Framework, NIST Special Publication 837, Revision 1, this is an important document, and I'm not sure if you've seen the diagram that has the 6 boxes that goes around. A lot of different organizations use them, including CalEMA or OES, and security organizations. So you start with categorizing, selecting the controls, implementing the controls, assessing the controls, authorizing the information system, and then monitoring the controls. NIST has a training, an online free training on their website that goes through all of this, and it's actually very good. I did it myself. I would recommend it, highly recommend it. That's also one of the links later on. Okay, Special Publication 853, Revision 4, just came out recently, and it provides guidelines in selecting and specifying the security controls for those information systems. It's applicable to all information systems and is broadly developed from a technical perspective. SAM, as I said before, 5300 now links to all of the different sections required. 853A, Revision 1, is a guide for assessing the security controls. These two documents go hand in hand. Now, Revision 1 was associated with Revision 3 of 853. So I'm guessing that Revision 2 will be coming out to map to 853 Revision 4. Did that make sense? Okay, good. I'm not sure I even understood myself, but as long as you did, that's the important thing. So we'll be watching for that, and we'll announce it when it appears. Okay, so NIST Special Publication 860, Volumes 1 and 2. It's a guide for mapping the types of information and information systems to security categories. This is the first step. Has to be done first. So it provides the guidelines for recommending the types of information and information systems to be included in each category of potential security impact. It assists agencies to map the security impact levels in a consistent manner to the types of information and information systems, and they're listed there. And then we get SIMs. SIMs have all been renumbered. These are mapped back to the new the SAM policy document. And it may not look logical here, but there is a logical flow to it. So we've got the standards at the top, procedures, and then all the forms, the revised forms. The forms themselves look very much the same. So that's not going to be an extra burden on the reporting departments. So, if this made sense, we've talked about FIPS, NIST, and how they relate to FISMA. And we've talked about categorizing the information systems and how that has to happen first. We've talked about selecting the minimum baseline security controls and how you can do that with 853 and 53A. We've talked about, no, we haven't talked about risk assessments yet. We're still getting there. Documenting the security controls, implementing, assessing, determining agency level risk and risk accessibility, and then authorizing. Somebody has to authorize it at a high level. And then monitoring, continuous monitoring. So one of the documents that we didn't review today is bullet number 4. Which is the guide for developing a security plan. That's something that's on the horizon as well. All the departments should have a security plan of their own. We're also working on a statewide security response plan in Emergency Function 18. Each organization needs to have an incident response plan too. Not all do. So we'll be providing more information about that and potentially training on that too. Something I came across earlier, it's the OPSEC 5-step process, operational security. It's a federal program. So they identify critical information, analyze the threats, analyze the vulnerabilities, assess the risks, apply countermeasures. 5 steps. Seems simple, sort of. What I thought about earlier was this, once you understand it, this is simple, but it's not easy, and we do recognize that. Okay, so where do we go from here? Outreach. Our office is going to be providing informational forums, and those have already started on the technology letter, and we're going to be developing training surrounding all of this information. First up is going to be with the categorization and FIPS publication 199, and along with special publication 860, the security category mapping document. We're going to follow that with training on security controls, FIPS publication 200, NIST 853 revision 4, and at this point it's NIST special publication 853A revision 1, maybe 2 at that point. We're also looking at tools right now, and in the next slide you'll see that we have a list of things that we are providing you to look at, but we're looking at them as well to potentially distribute statewide. So, and we're looking for a free solution at this point. We know how strapped budgets are, including ours. There needs to be 4 of me, if you haven't guessed yet, because this is, on our end, this is all me. We're starting with the NIST 853 controls checklist, and we've almost completed it. We'll be distributing it for your internal use soon. I've got it here, but I'm almost afraid to move away from my slideshow because I'm not familiar with this computer setup as well as I would like to be. So maybe I'll try that in a minute. So finally, you've likely heard that there's a potential for some upcoming security audits coming your way for state agencies. And we don't expect to perform those until we've provided some training. You've gotten your feet wet. You've done some of the work on your ends. And we want you to be as prepared as possible. We want the state to be prepared as possible. This isn't about anything punitive. It's a collaborative effort to get the state secure. So on our end, we're going to be developing that training, and we just want to invite you to please come and participate so that when we do come out, we can. And then ultimately, we assume that year after year after year, the security posture of the state will just continuously improve. So it's not about punitive, it's about the state of the state and security of the state. So here's that list of free resources. I know it's kind of hard to see, but once this is up on the website, we'll be sending out a notice to everyone that the slide decks are published, and you can go click on each of these links to get to these documents. The first one is that self-paced training. It's very good. I highly recommend it. I also, just looking around, found some other resources that I just went through and are very, very good. The first one, second on the list, is the OHI HIPAA Security Toolkit. It's for health information, but a lot of what we do, it's exactly the same. So take a look. The FedRAMP's FIPS 199 categorization template is here. The Center for Internet Security benchmarks are here. National Vulnerability Database is with all those MSISAC notices you get all the time. They are related to this. The National Checklist Program Repository repository, which is associated to the National Vulnerability Database, is linked here. And the Security Content Automated Protocol, which is called SCAP, it's here too. ICS Cert CSET is another tool, and there are resources all linked here. Anything else? Well, I really thank you for your time and your patience, and we'll be seeing you.